I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, October the 20th. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about here. We're getting down to the end of the week. We still don't know what the fat cattle trade is going to be. We got this cattle on feed report that's really up in the air as to what it's going to do to the market. We've got a lot of calves moving, and the market's breaking on some of these bigger cattle, even though these yearlings are in short supply. And we've likely got the largest sale barn draft of the year to talk about. But let's talk about the board. On Thursday, December live cattle was down $0.50 at $116.15. October spot live cattle down 27 cents at $111.20. November feeder cattle up 70 cents at $152.77. Like I said, the fat cattle trade, we haven't really had any to speak of so far. To date here on a direct basis, 4,900 a head, which is nothing, but the most popular price is $1.10. I think that's some people that are kind of scared of this cattle on feed report, and they want to go ahead and get their cattle moved, but still think we have a very good chance to get $1.11, $1.11 and a half. And like we said, it all depends on what the cattle on feed report does, even though cattle on feed report has absolutely nothing to do with cattle that are on the show list for this week. But talk about that cattle on feed report. The analysts' estimates that have been published now, and everybody kind of banking on that, the on-feed totals for October the 1st, they've got those with the average of the analyst guess at 104.7, and it doesn't really matter that that's close to 5% more than a year ago. It just matters what it ends up being compared to what they think it is. The placements, which really scares me there, they've got, the analysts have guessed them from 103.4 all the way up to 116, with an average of 107.5, which is the main number that everybody talks about. If you listened to me earlier in the week, I really think it's going to be a whole lot higher than that 107.5. Just running on straight fundamentals, which if you watch me at all, that's all I do. I don't spend a lot of time looking at squiggly lines on graphs, but if you look at fundamental numbers like your nationwide auction receipts through September there, it really comes out to a little over 115. And if you figure in we've got you know, a bigger calf crop than what we did a year ago that's been coming to town through here this fall, I really think it's going to be closer to 118, which is plumb off the range of what these educated analysts have guessed it to be. The highest guess they've got in there is at 116, and I think it's going to be higher than that, and I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, I'll be the first one to come out here and tell you I got egg all over my face, but I sure think it's going to be bigger than that, and I wish that the average had been higher than that, because if it does end up being way up there in the mid to high teens, it's going to be terrible bearish. And you know what I think about that, you know, with advertising these analysts' estimates, and when they miss it, it's just terrible bearish. And guys that's got cattle left to sell are sitting there holding the bag, and I really hope it doesn't do that. Marketings, they always get real close to that, and they've got that with an average estimate at 102.6. But it'll be very interesting, 2 o'clock Central there, to find out what the cattle on feed report ends up being. I said we likely had the largest sale barn draft of the year, and we're going to talk about it at 3 state stockyards in Falls City, Nebraska. Tom Witt there, one of the owners at the sale barn, a friend of mine, he sent me some texts and some pictures here. You look at these cattle, you can tell that they're long, hard yearlings. They have got a little bit of flesh on them. They're backgrounded cattle, put together cattle, but it's hard to find true yearlings. And in a big old string like that, they're coming off the Hermish Brothers place, which is Kelly, Kansas, close to Seneca, Kansas, and northeast Kansas, if you know where that's at. But you want to talk about a slug of cattle in one draft. 883 head of these steers, averaged 848 pounds at 153.60. And went to a major Kansas feeder there, and I tell you what, that is a slug of cattle in one draft. But look at your other markets there. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central based on the 800-pound steer, 152.37 late on Thursday, down $1.76. And I tell you what, they are really taking it off, these yearling cattle, and not meaning to on the yearlings, but these big calves are just pressuring the yearling cattle and everything so much. And I do think that a lot of people are afraid of this cattle on feed report, these big outfits, and they're starting to back off of these things. But you look at Salina, Kansas there on your automated report on Cattle Market Central, 2,260 head on that report. Your feeder steers $6 to $10 lower than the weighted average from the previous week. You look at the report, 573 head of 8-weight steers averaged 863 at 152.73, and that's nearly $10 lower than the weighted average from the previous week. Pratt, Kansas had a lighter run on Thursday, 1,100 head. Feeder steers there by market news were called $9 to $10 lower, with the exception of the 9 to 950 pound steers, and they were straight up $3 lower. Feeder heifers $6 lower. Give you some more individual quotes. I'm going to give some love to some markets that are pumping information into Cattle Market Central, and we don't talk about a lot, and I don't think we've ever talked about I-40 livestock in Ozark, Arkansas, but we're going to today. At 1:45 in the afternoon, Ozark, Arkansas, I-40 livestock sold 72 head of 661 pound steer calves at 159. Broken Bow, Nebraska, Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sold 69 head of steers, weighed 884 at 159.75. That's your feeder flash for Friday.